Hello, and welcome to what is hopefully the final part of our intelligence sorcery run through the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. As you can see, we're kind of in the middle of something. But that's okay. So, last time we went through all of Inir Ilum up to the cleansing room antechamber. But before that, we went through the left half of the Abyssal Woods and Midra's Manse. For items, we got Nanaya's Torch, Remembrance of the Lord of Frenzied Flame, Spira or Spira Incantation, the Euporia Twin Blade, the Horned Warrior Ashes, the Gravebird Helm, an Ancient Somber Stone, and the Horned Warrior's Greatsword. And I was missing 2 Revered Spirit Ashes, and I said I would go get those between then and the beginning of this part. Well, I remembered where they were. The first was in Bonnie Village. It is in this little ravine section up on the top half of it. The second one was over by Rao Ancient Ruins West. You want to head north, and you want to take that Spirit Spring jump up. Now, the Spirit Spring jump isn't automatically activated. You need to find a thing to break. But when we went through this area, I showed where to break it. And we're just going to drop down here. And we're going to make our way through all of these enemies. Because all of these enemies are completely irrelevant. No. What we want here is this elevator. This elevator is going to take us up to an enemy. That one with the little glowing pot. They will get us the final Revered Spirit Ash. And we can now make our way back here. And at the cleansing room antechamber, you should be fully stocked up on Skadutri blessings and Revered Spirit Ash blessings, being at 20 and 10 respectively. And from there, we can make our way to an old ally.
Oh, I thought I'd see you here. It'd been quite some time. It was never kindly Miquella, was it? The Erdtree was leading you all along, so that you might ascend to lordship. Why come to these lands to begin with? I suppose it must be what His Eminence, or perhaps the Erdtree desired all along. The clashing of the favored lords. Such that one would prevail. So be it. If you insist upon facing Miquella the Kind, then I will run you through whoever you might be. Don't tarry now.
And we have Pureblood Knight Ansbach and Dahlia. If you don't have one of them, you can actually get a second, or rather a third, summon instead of whoever you missed. And I don't think you see them anywhere else. And I've actually only seen them in my first ever playthrough. Wonder who they are.
Don't you dare approach Miquella the Kind. Needle Knights Leda, Dryleaf Dane, and our allies will never allow this.
I am the Red Mane, Freya. The time has come. I could not hope for a worthier foe. This is our moment. Let's make it something to remember.
I am Ansbach of the Pure Blood Knights. I stand with blade aloft, blood afire, for the dignity of my lord and master Moog. Well, good Freya, it will be my honor to test my blade against a Radahn.
You and I, fighting. Tragedy this is.
I never could have imagined it. That you might be the Erdtree's rightful lord. Such as it is, this battle could not be more fitting. For the birth of a new god, and the coming of a lord. Thank you, Sir Ansbach. You were fine. In your blood, truly, a glorious battle. It was.
Righteous tarnished. It appears that our interests have aligned. A balm upon my soul it is that we do not meet today as enemies. Now, my blade. Watch closely.
I am here to serve Trina evermore.
I'm sorry for speaking to you as a compatriot when we stood before the withered arm.
Simor, I do not wish to fight you. I have new purpose I must see through.
I think that's all the dialogue. I just didn't want to speak over anything. But yeah, this is very unique, though. Very unique for a boss, considering it's a group of NPCs rather than a single, like, boss, like you would normally see. But I think it's pretty cool, especially with how you can manipulate who gets in. I think it's awesome. Also,
That. Forever.
I was about to say, why is Moore taking damage? But I remember Talia exists. And probably poisoned him. So, W Talia, I suppose. That's a new one. Did they gotta ever say that? But
Miquella, in God shall you rise.
But there's something new for everything.
Make the world a gentler place.
There we go. Sad. I said it before, but you can actually get it down to just 2 enemies. You can get it down to just Leda and Dryleaf Dane without missing a single item. You can take out Moore and Freya from the fight while still keeping all the rewards. It's like Moore's bell bearing, his great shield, and his armor set. just... I think by telling him to remain happy, I believe so, and having him not be in the fight, you would go over to High Road Cross, Site of Grace, and you would go up just above Church of the Crusade, like here, I believe, and you would find Moore's dead body after the fight. And then Freya, you can get Freya's greatsword and her armor set by talking to her at the storehouse 7th floor, and then simply not giving her the letter from Ansbach. And then if she doesn't show up in the fight here, after beating this fight, just go to the storehouse 7th floor and her rewards will be there. But then we get Dane's footwork. And remember that you can get Dryleaf arts with Palm Blast early. And this has Palm Blast, but you can get Dryleaf Whirlwind in another location. I showed how to get that earlier in the run. And you can get his entire set in different locations, which I've shown how to do earlier in this run as well. And then finally for Leda, you get her sword by beating the fight, and then you get her chest piece here, and then the headpiece, gauntlets, and pants are actually part of the Oathseeker Knight set, which we got right at the very beginning of the run. So that's absolutely everything from them. There's only one boss left and I am terrified. But first, Sir Ansbach.
Righteous tarnished. That was an astounding battle, to be sure. Now I suppose this leaves only one. But in truth, I cannot calm my quivering. Challenging a god is no small matter. I'm afraid I underestimated the lad. Appearing frail in both body and mind, I presumed it'd be like to stumble upon the field of battle. What a fool I was. He serves another master, but Setiolier performed magnificently. Perhaps he too quivers with anticipation, as do we. Oh. Something you want to get off your chest? Well, you needn't worry. It was you, wasn't it? Who defeated Lord Moog. Fear not. I bear no grudge against you. His Eminence was felled in an honorable duel. And such are the risks of seeking lordship. Besides, what right have I to complain? I blame the enchantment more than anything. Righteous tarnished, we will have our victory. I swear upon my blood. Righteous tarnished, we will have our victory. I swear upon my blood.
And with that, all that's left is to move forward. And the base game did this as well, where the finale is just multiple boss fights back to back. It was way worse in the base game, because in the base game, it's Malekith, and then a short run to Gideon, and then a short run to Godfrey Horaloo, and then a short run to Radahn and Elden Beast. So that's 4 bosses, whereas here it's only 2. So, obviously not as bad. But still scary. having to go 2 boss fights back to back. And I'm honestly not sure if I want to run sorceries. Like, part of me kind of wants to run melee. We can do a few attempts with sorcery just to see. Although, yeah, we gotta move away from this. That for more healing. Now, I'm pretty sure that this boss, on top of physical, also does magic, fire, and holy damage, but holy damage is by far the worst. So that's what we're gonna go with. And I'll go with this as well, because stamina regeneration is very nice, but oh boy, we need the defense. Especially if we're gonna run this armor set. Because we do not have much defense. Now, you can summon Talia. However, I would suggest against it, because when I summoned him, it was pre-nerf. It was during, like, the first patch. The first or second. So it was before Radahn got nerfed. And I didn't have Ansbach because I didn't do his quest. But Talia didn't make it a single time to phase 2. Like, at least I don't think he did. He certainly didn't get to... He didn't even make it close to the end of the boss fight. And while the poison was kind of nice, it just didn't make up for the extra health that the boss gained. Because when you summon NPCs, or when you summon in general, the boss gains more health. And neither the damage nor the distraction that Talia granted us was worth it. Now, again, that was pre-nerf, but... And I didn't start summoning Ansbach until post-nerf. Because I didn't do his quest until the second... Like, the second run. But, oh boy, Ansbach has been so much better. I've been... Like, before my 3.5 month break, I did around 10 or so runs, not recording, and I summoned Ansbach for all but 2 of those runs, and for the most part, he made it to the end of the fight, or very close to the end of the fight. So, he's useful. But heading in, cutscene.
My loyal blade and champion of the festival. Both your deeds will ever be praised in song. Now, the vow will be honored, and my lord brother's soul will return, so that he may be my consort.
By far, one of the best cutscenes.
pleasure to see
Uh-oh.
you after all this time. But those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
But the music at the end of that cutscene, I want to know if you agree with me on this or not. But that gave me God of War vibes. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but that's what I got from that music. I think he's too far away for that. Yeah. He's scared. He's scared of the incredible damage. Never mind. Maybe he wasn't scared. It turns out, when you got a robe for an armor set, God doesn't exactly fear. Ow.
General Radahn, a pleasure to see you after all this time. But those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
Sir, calm down. Not gonna lie, I was looking at my FP bar, not the boss, which was a big mistake. I think he skipped an animation with that jump, but either way, cutscene. And he's embering up because this is Dark Souls 3.
Lord brother. At long last you are returned. Tarnished one. Aspiring lord of the old order. If you have known sin, if you grieve for this world, then yield the path forward to us. To I, Miquella, and my promised consort, Radahn.
I'm so glad I mute myself during cutscenes. Because the point in the cutscene where he stands over you, it's supposed to be menacing, but all I could think was the 5'11" compared to 6' meme. And I don't think they were going for comedy with that moment. Oh. Oh no. my spirit ash. Ow. I mistimed that roll. Right. Ansbach, please. Radahn, please. Oh. Radahn, put him down. There's absolutely no need. Uh-oh. Radahn, please. We talked about this in... That's gonna hit me, isn't it? Radahn, we talked about this in your anger management class. Alright. There's no need to smack people with the wrath of God. Also, I might be mistaken. Oh. But I think Ansbach was slowly walking towards Radahn. Oh, so close. I should have healed earlier. But I think Ansbach was walking towards Radahn until Radahn started floating in the air and using his big, like, death laser attack. The giant exploding one. And then Ansbach started running towards him.
General Radahn. After all this time.
Oh,
But those
my
remains
runes.
do not belong to you. Lord Mode will have his dignity.
Okay. I think melee phase 1. Once I remember how to melee phase 1. Yeah. Like I said, it's been a while. I don't know if I brought this up before, but I know that I've thought it before. But in order to summon, you need to use this thing, the Furl Calling Finger Remedy. But you don't need to do that for NPC summons. And I kind of wish you did.
General Radahn. A pleasure to see you. After all this time. But those remains do not belong to you. Lord Moog will have his dignity.
It wouldn't be as convenient, but I think it would help teach people who are playing offline about that. And it would encourage people... Oh. Yeah, I mistimed that dodge. Horribly. but it would encourage people playing offline to engage with the crafting mechanic just a tiny bit more. But we can watch this again, because it's a good cutscene.
Lord brother. At long last you are returned. Tarnished one. Aspiring lord of the old order. If you have known sin, if you grieve for this world, then yield the path forward to us. To I, Miquella, and my promised consort, Radahn.
No. Oh, he's not using his attack. He normally has this big explosion attack. That one. Oh. My runes are right there. But he usually uses that immediately. Alright. My guy, you have 3 people. Now we can sit back and have him immediately attack us. But now we can hopefully sit back a little bit. And throw some magic out. So, even at range, he can very quickly jump us. Should have used that right at the beginning, because it gives me more magic damage. And more defense. But even if I don't pop it at the beginning of Phase 2, I always remember to pop it there. Whew. He is extra terrifying in Phase 2. Especially because sometimes in multiplayer, he just sends his clones after one person. But his physical form after a second person, which is extra terrifying. And it makes you dodge pretty much everything, because you never know if he's going after you or someone else. Which is very effective, but terrifying. Whew. Goody, goody, good. And also, You get the let us go together gesture. So that grab attack that he did, you get this. Like, if he does that twice, you die and you get this gesture. But even if you don't die to that, you still get the gesture. So, that's good. Now, I didn't think that we were going to be able to beat him with sorceries, because he can teleport, he's very quick, he's very aggressive, and our armor set is not very defensive, so I legitimately didn't think we were going to be able to do it. At least in under an hour, especially with how I'm rusty. But we did it. Renala's full moon is good. It has very good range, good damage, and it makes enemies take more magic damage for a bit. So I like to throw that at an enemy, or like at a boss, right before, or right at the beginning of a boss fight. So that way my other spells do more damage. I would suggest giving that a go. It's very good. But anyways, we can touch this memory for another cutscene.
Lord brother. I'm going to be a god. If we honor our part of the vow, promise me you'll be my consort. I'll make the world a gentler place.
Now, it took a few tries. That was, what, like 7th attempt, I think? With no flash and, like, not half, but we're down a good chunk of health and FP. But still, not too bad, considering I thought magic was going to be horrible, and we've got split flasks and a bad armor set. Like, defensively, that is. Visually, this is my favorite chess piece in the entire game. And there are a few strong contenders. Like the Gloried set is pretty good. Dry Leaf set I like a lot. Braided Cord set. Leda's Raging Wolf. Death Knight. Like, there are some good chess pieces, but the cape, the bag, how it's ripped at the bottom, you just can't beat it. But here, if you did Ansbach's quest, you get Ansbach's set, the Obsidian Lamina, and the Furious Blade of Ansbach incantation. And if you did Talier's quest, you get Talier's Hidden Needle. Another good offhand weapon for PvP, because it builds up Eternal Sleep, which can freak people out. But you also get Talier's armor set. And then finally, you can head over here to where St. Trina is, because after you kill Radahn, St. Trina will also die. Or after killing Miquella, rather. St. Trina will die and you'll get her Blossom, which gives you slightly negative pierce damage negation, but at 50 mind it gets you an extra 17 FP. Not anything crazy, but it's just a nice little flower to have in your hair. That and Circlet of Light tend to be my go-to headpieces for magic builds. I don't know why, but I just don't really like helmets in magic builds. They feel wrong, and I'm not entirely sure why. But since we're done, I think we can talk about sorceries in the DLC before ending things off. And I'd say that they're pretty good. They don't break the game. They don't turn the game into super easy baby mode. Like just about any other build, they have their strengths, they have their weaknesses. There were some enemies and some bosses that were just complete jokes when facing sorceries. Think of, like, going through Midra's Manse. The big guy who drops Revered Spirit Ashes. Like, I just sat on a high ground and hit him with a few Stars of Ruin. And he just sat there staring at me because there was nothing he could do. And there were a few enemies where, like, the pest enemies, the ones in this red section, where they can be really annoying for melee builds, but boom, one shot. Ronaldo's Full Moon, you can cast it out of their range, like out of their aggro range. It has enough range to actually hit them, and it can one-shot them or very close to it. And so, there are some enemies that are very annoying or difficult, and sorceries make them super easy, but there were also some enemies where sorceries just didn't do a whole lot, and they made them very difficult. Think Rakshasa, or anyone with an input reader that can roll. But Radahn wasn't nearly as bad as I thought they would be. They certainly weren't a pushover, but considering I'm rusty and went in with 11 heal flasks instead of 14 and was running with a low defensive armor set, and I was anxious, which was making me not play as well. Doing him in, I think that was the 7th attempt, not bad. I'd say that's pretty good. Now, I'm someone who's not particularly skilled, especially with magic. So, a boss like that could hold me, or like be a brick wall for like an hour, and we did it in like 20 minutes. So, yeah, not bad. And there are some sorceries that we've gotten in the DLC. Like, we've gotten Glintstone Nail, Glintstone Nails, Fleeting Microcosm, Cherishing Fingers, Mantle of Thorns, Impenetrable Thorns, Rings of Spectral Light, and Massive Putrescence. And then you might be able to get some more out of the boss souls. And obviously, it didn't get to show these off because they have a faith requirement. But I have used these on a character that I didn't record. And I'll say right now, Glintstone Nail, it's okay. I'd say it's like a worse Glintstone Pebble, basically. Or like a slightly worse Great Glintstone Shard. Mostly because you can't spam it fluidly the way you can this. How you can just go back and forth. You can't do that with Glintstone Nail. And that's my biggest problem with it. Glintstone Nails takes more FP, but does more damage. It's also alright. Fleeting Microcosm creates a few explosions. If an enemy has a lot of mobility, pretty bad. But for enemies that are very slow, or if they're not aggroed onto you, and especially if they're super slow and hide behind a shield, because sorceries tend to have a bit, like a difficult time dealing with shields, Fleeting Microcosm is pretty good for that because it knocks the enemies down and goes behind their shields. Cherishing Fingers, it's also okay. It's unique, but none of these are sorceries that I would use as part of like a normal run. Mantle of Thorns I actually didn't try, but I think we're going to try it next time when we go through the Faith run because it has a Faith requirement. Impenetrable Thorns, I believe I tried this, and I believe it was decent. Like, out of these 6, it was the best of them, if I remember correctly. But it wasn't anything super crazy. But maybe I just don't know how to build around it, which is entirely possible. Massive Putrescent sucked. It was not good. It's very similar to Cannon of Haima, where it's a very slow arcing cannon shot that explodes and does a lot of damage. But it's so slow that it's just not really worth it, in my opinion. Rings of Spectral Light, however. I've been going on about Stars of Ruin and how good Stars of Ruin is. Rings of Spectral Light is very similar. Where it's a multi-hit spell that you can just spam and throw it at the enemy. But as you can see, this takes 14 FP, whereas this takes 32, so as you can probably tell, it's not as powerful. However, despite it not being as powerful, it comes out faster and at a lower FP cost, and its damage is still pretty good. So, if you're dealing with a big enemy that you can hit a lot, like a troll or like a giant, or those golden hippos, or maybe like dragons, this is pretty decent. Not crazy, not overpowered, but pretty decent. And I don't know if I'll be able to show these 2 off because they have an intelligence requirement. But I showed these 4 off, and these 2 I'll be able to show off in the Faith run, which will be the next and probably final run through the DLC that we do, up until the single weapon class runs. Because after the next run, there's going to be Nightreign, and I'm going to be playing a lot of that. But with that being said, I think we can end it here. We went through the Leda fight and the Promised Consort Radahn fight. Very short, but not easy. And for rewards, it showed where to get the model necklace +2 right at the very beginning. We got Leda's sword, Moore's bell-bearing shield and set. We got Freya's great sword and set. We got Dane's footwork, Leda's armor, Remembrance of a God and a Lord, the Circlet of Light, Ansbach set, weapon and incantation. This takes faith in arcane. We'll hopefully be able to show that off. I'm not entirely sure, though. In the next run, I mean. But we also got Talier's Hidden Needle and set, along with Saint Trina's Blossom. The headpiece, not the talisman. But with that being said, yeah.